Welcome to part 1 of my Synergy N556 build series. For part 1, I just want to quickly go over the parts and electronics that I picked out for this build. So obviously starting off with the model itself, that one's pretty obvious. For the engine, I'm going with the recommended option of an OS55 HCR. And with that, the OS Power Boost Pipe 3. Those are both the recommended options for the Synergy. For the cyclic servos, I've gone with ProTech 270 TBL servos. These are great servos. I've especially picked them out because the servo cable is removable on both sides of the servo. And on this build, I'm planning on customizing the length of the servo wires, and by having replaceable servo wires like this, I won't devalue the servos. I can reuse the servos on a different build, or I can sell them, and all I have to do is replace the cable, not the whole servo. So those are cyclic servos. For the tail servo, I will be using an Expert R2T. Same major reasoning. Also Expert and ProTech are the exact same servos, just different branding. This one also has the removable cable in the back. These are great tail servos and pretty unique in having that removable cable, so I went with that. And then finally, for the throttle servo, I will be going with the Expert KE1E. Same removable cable and a really good throttle servo. Pretty good price as well. Lastly, for the receiver, I will be using the Jetty system. I've been using Jetty for about half a year now, and it's a great system. Really like it. I went with the Rex 7, which is the smallest receiver that is licensed to be used in the US. Then I also got a Jetty telemetry sensor for temperature. So I don't plan on necessarily using it for tuning, but I like to have it as a secondary control to make sure that I don't burn out my motor, so I can just set an alarm and I don't need to worry about it too much. So I'll be putting that on the engine. And then the last part that's kind of specific, for the clunk, I went with the Lynx MOAS V2. And that's all the parts I'm going to be putting into this helicopter. I actually forgot a couple of pretty critical parts. The first one is the flyballast system. I'll be putting an Icon 2 in here. Really like the Icon. I like that all the roll rates are in terms of degrees per second, which makes it really easy to set up the real helicopter pretty similarly to the simulator, and overall it just works really well. And then two small components I'll be putting in. Of course, for the governor on a Nitro, you need a governor sensor. I went with the Align BeastX governor sensor. Have to figure out later how to actually plug it in. I think it might need a different connector to be used with the Icon, but we'll figure that out later. And then I will also be putting in a switch glow, which is already out of its packaging, but still pretty much brand new. It's just gonna make starting a lot easier, and I don't have to carry around a glow igniter. So that was actually all the parts that are going in. Thank you for watching part 1, and the next part's coming soon.